right, gentlemen, we made it. Fellas, real quick, I want to pop in and just let you know that this video was filmed in 2024. So I'm cutting it together because I didn't have a video available for this weekend's upload. Next weekend, I'm going to meet up with the guys and we're going to film a bunch of reviews on a bunch of different stuff that we've been sent to do reviews on, but didn't have anything for this weekend. So I cut up this video from 2024 on the CZ P-10C. Still a great video in my opinion. Some of my opinions have changed a little bit, but still, you know, roast me in the comments, do whatever you want. I'm a slightly younger version of myself here. I just thought it'd be cool to, you know, kind of do a little throwback video versus, you know, not posting anything. So I've done that before. I posted a video I did a long time ago of my AR-15. I'll put it right here, and you guys seem to like it. So anyway, I just want to let you know that, but enjoy the rest of the video. Peace. I've got a pretty cool pistol that I want to talk about. One of the reasons I want to talk about it is that this is something that costs less than one of the most popular polymer handguns out there. Starts with a G and rhymes with Glock. And I'm wondering, for something so much better, at least in feature set, why would you choose a Glock over it? Guys, this is the CZ P-10C, and I think this may be, I don't know, this might be a great option if you're somebody who doesn't want to get a Glock, or somebody who has never shot anything else but a Glock, and maybe you feel like there's something else out there. I'm telling you there is. I have no affiliation with CZ, but this gun is great, and I think that this is worth a look. Let's dive into it. I'm gonna go over some of the features, some of the specs, and kind of just lay out an argument that potentially this could be a better option for you if you're looking for a competitor or something to cross shop against a Glock 19 Gen 5. Guys, the CZ P-10C, let's get into it. Okay, listen, before some of y'all go insane, I don't hate Glocks. I have a Gucci'd out, you know, tricked out Glock 34 sitting on the bed of my truck right now. I have nothing against Glocks. And honestly, to be honest, the more people that have guns in general, the better. That's what makes me happy. I don't care if you have a Taurus or a Jimenez, you know, as long as you are exercising your Second Amendment right, that's what matters, right? Okay, and that's what we should all encourage. But I also believe in maximizing your dollar, and especially nowadays, your dollar is worth less and less and less. Keeps getting less and less useful. You know, each dollar is worth less than it ever was. I really would hope to, you know, maybe present something to somebody who's potentially looking at buying their first, second, third, fourth gun, whatever, at looking at some other options. That guy's ripping it. Again, don't hate Glocks. That was just, of course, that was a little, you know, that was a little jest. That was all in jest, of course, you see. But this, the CZ P-10C, is probably one of the best bang for your buck pistols you can get. And unfortunately, CZ just canceled this sucker. I don't know why. Maybe they're coming out with a new striker fired polymer pistol. But as of, you know, April 2024, these are no longer in production. So kind of a bummer. Let's go over this real quick. This is the CZ P-10C. This is the Glock 19 type of the CZ P-10 series. They have the P-10F, which is a full size. Imagine like Glock 17, but actually even a longer grip. Or imagine, let me get this to stop tracking me. Or imagine the CZ P-10S, more of like a slimline, maybe not micro compact, but almost. It's a whole ecosystem of pistols, and I'm not sure if they discontinue all of them or just the P-10C. I'd have to double check. As of right now, this is the one I have. Y'all, I got this for $330, brand new, 2 magazines, optics ready version with night sight version. I mean, that's crazy. To buy a Gen 5 Glock new you're paying, I think it's like minimum $550. I know the Glock 34 in some gun stores is still $749, which is crazy because everybody, almost nearly everybody, does something to the Glock after they buy it, right? Like mine, the triggers, they're serviceable, but they're garbage. Like compared to other things that come from factory, the triggers are bad. So you're gonna swap a trigger, right? The slide serrations are on the front now, finally, right? Finally, they're on the front, but they're kind of minimal. They're not spread out very far. They're just kind of towards the front. The optic system, now the MOS, I think they fixed the issues that it had before, but back in, when it first came out, the MOS had all kinds of problems related to optics falling off and shearing screws and whatnot. So the fact is that people never keep a Glock stock. That's not necessarily a bad thing. I think tinkering with guns is part of the fun of having guns. And this one, you can do the same thing. Obviously, you can see I've got a Surefire X300 on this one, Aimpoint Acro on there. Aside from that, everything else is stock. I literally just bought this for the review because it was such a great opportunity. But again, I don't hate Glocks. I just think that in the day of the plethora of striker-fired polymer pistols, there are, in my opinion, there are better pistols for your dollar than the Glock. I could go off the road, down the road of the Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0, the CZ P-10C, HK VP9, Canik Mete or TP9 SF, SFX or SF, the whole TP9 series, the Mete series. What else do we have? IWI Masada, FN 509, Beretta APX1. I mean, we have so many options now. We have the opportunity, and we're fortunate that we have so many options for a polymer striker-fired pistol that I don't think we're as boxed into one option as Glock. And sometimes I honestly feel like I'm getting gaslit. Like back in the day when I first started shooting, I felt like I was getting gaslit into thinking Glock is the only one. Well, the reason why you're shooting low left is because of you. And it's like, yeah, well, technically that is true, but there are not many other pistols that I shoot low left with right off the rip where I have to work around the grip angle. I might have to work on dipping a little bit, anticipating the shot, trigger control, things like that. But for the most part, I'm hitting at least center line with the target. With the Glock 19, I mean, people have to get used to the grip angle. Everyone, gripes about the grip angle, and they're not wrong. I mean, the grip angle it's not great. I'm going to be honest. It's got its own problems. It has benefits too, but the fact that Glock, I mean, they're archaic, man. They don't change anything. And I get they're trying to be, if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of thing. That's cool, but you can at least listen to what your customers are asking for and deliver. Smith & Wesson, although they are usually late to the party, eventually they show up. Eventually they'll fix their trigger. Eventually they have front slide serrations. Eventually they'll get, better sights, all these things, which they do. They continually progress. Now they have the spec series. It's a little bit late in my opinion. I think people were kind of walking away from traditional thread-on compensators and going more to some sort of QD attachment system or a milled in, like a XL, X macro, milled in, chamber brake system on the front of the slide. But at least they try, right? And M&Ps are wonderful pistols. Glock, on the other hand, they keep it the same. It's been the same. They don't change anything. The company, I don't know, man. I will always trust a Glock and pick up a Glock and trust it, but I have never picked up an M&P and not trust it. You know what I mean? A lot of the videos I've seen, which of course all this could be anecdotal evidence, but videos that Grand Thumb has done or Micah Mayfield.
All right, let's try this guy. I don't think it's gonna work, man.
Trigger?
Yeah.
I kind of had a feeling.
Yeah, man. All right.
Okay, because it has a hinge trigger. Oh no, hinge trigger, man. Just die.
M&P, dude. M&P.
Hunt, Fit, Shoot, Mr. Guns and Gear. They do torture tests on M&Ps, and the M&Ps often outlast the Glock or outperform the Glock in some ways. And to be honest, to be fair, they're fairly equal in most ways, but in a couple ways, the M&P even exceeds it. And again, for the money you're getting better texture, better ergonomics, a better trigger, better optic system, better sights, better slide serrations, better, I mean, everything. You're getting a universal Picatinny rail versus the Glock one. You know what I mean? I just don't think that the Glock is the end all be all option. And I don't think that it should be such a problem now at this point in 2024. I don't think it should be such a problem if somebody is, I don't know, I'm not really a big Glock fan. I've said that in a couple groups that I'm in, and I get reamed because it's like Glock is the only way. You know, it's kind of unbelievable. But again, you know, that Glock 34, although I don't enjoy shooting it as much as I enjoy shooting something like this or an M&P, it's a great gun, goes bang every time. But anyway, enough talking about that. Let's get into the CZ P-10C. All right, just so y'all know, for you internet range RSOs, we are free and clear, no magazine, nothing in the chamber. So relax. Okay, P-10C. First off, build quality is exceptional. Tolerances between slide and frame, tight. Not 1911 tight, obviously, but again, striker-fired handgun, polymer handgun, extremely tight. The first thing you notice when you pick up this gun is the grip angle, the ergonomics. It feels as comfortable as a HK VP9. If you've ever seen an HK VP9, how molded it is, it feels very similar to that, very comfortable. However, not quite as weird, and there's no, you know, finger grooves and a couple of the weird, you know, bulges that the VP9 has. But it's a more simplified version of that. It has a much more vertical grip angle, however, with a palm swell near the center, not as much towards the bottom. The Glock would go out like this, and that's what pushes your hand up like this and can't, you know, has that weird cant. You end up having to put your thumbs so far forward. That's what causes a lot of the issues, is that hump towards the tail end of the backstrap. This pistol, nice natural round, you know, almost kind of bulbous section here in the midsection, tidies down back at the end. You have a small lip right here for your pinky, which cradles it whenever you have a proper grip on the pistol. That small lip right here allows the gun in recoil, when you're pushing up on the nose, you can feel the pressure here as it pushes up against your pinky. So that right there immediately, that's already recoil mitigation, just off the rip. No mag well needed, no stippling, no anything, just right off the rip. It also has a much deeper beaver tail, much deeper, where your hand, I mean, there's literally no way you're getting slide bite on this pistol. Just the way that it sits, there's no way. And I could see, I bet you if you measured it, this probably has a slightly higher bore axis than a Glock by maybe a couple centimeters, but I mean, to be honest, I don't know, the whole bore axis thing, I don't think it's such a big issue as people make it seem to be. Not saying that it doesn't cause a felt recoil difference or a recoil pattern difference, but I just don't think it's like the end of the world, in my opinion. This gun has extremely good grip texture from factory. Could be better. It does look a little bit dated. It kind of looks maybe a little 90s, you know, a little Ruger or like Smith & Wesson SD9 kind of looking, but it's very functional. I don't know if you can hear this. That's how grippy this stuff is. They're like little tiny cubes on the plastic. Digs into your hand really, really well. If you squeeze this thing tight and then pull your hand off, you'll have an imprint on your skin. So definitely works. The grip texture works very, very, very well. Let's go over the slide. So one, the way the slide looks, aesthetically, I think it's a great looking pistol. I think it's very well proportioned. Everything is contoured. There's not many sharp lines. It's all very, you know, chamfered. Every edge is rounded to a healthy level. Looks very sharp, looks sleek. The slide itself is extremely smooth. I'll see if I can get this. Doesn't sound quite as jiggly as a Glock, even though it's the same Browning tilt action. It just sounds a little bit tighter. Sounds a little bit more, you know, fit together. Whether that translates to better accuracy, who knows? But it gives you confidence when you're racking it, when you're feeling it. Like, oh yeah, this gun is a gun of quality. Like when you rack a staccato or something, you're like, oh man, this is really nice. This is one of those, for a striker fired gun, you're like, oh, that's nice. That feels good. That sounds good. These slide serrations, they are long. They go from almost the very front of the gun to the chamber of the gun. They're very long. They're very aggressive. They're extremely aggressive. Great for press checking on both the front and the rear. I mean, I can grab it with just my two little fingers and rack it very, very well. The gun is sprung very nicely. It's tight, but it's not, you know, hard to push back in by any means. The lockup of the barrel to the chamber is great. I mean, it's just, it's what you would expect from a company like CZ that usually makes like the Shadow 2. Like they have very high-end, you know, guns, some high-class guns. Moving back to the optic system of the CZ P-10C, this sucker. So this is an aim-point acro. Their footprint is kind of weird and whack, and their optics plates are usually very thick. But if this is an RMR plate, it'd be a little bit different. But you can see how deep that optic cut is in the slide. If this was a direct mill, I mean, the sights would almost be like a covering half the window. Granted, the acro's window is very small, but you can see right there. Let me see if I can get a shot of that. Let's try that there. Here we go. You can see right there how perfectly these iron sights co-witness with the red dot because the optic cut is so low and so well machined into the slide. I will say this is an Apex tactical acro plate. Not a big fan of how they left this front section milled out. I'm sure they did it for a reason, but aesthetically just doesn't kind of tickle my taint, you know what I mean? On the slide, we have 3 dot. I don't believe they're like tritium or anything, but they are a painted, kind of like a glowing paint, quote unquote night sight, if you will. But they're 3 dot iron sights. Totally functional, totally usable. They are metal though. From factory, they're metal. Again, keep in mind, that's something that a Glock doesn't have. Metal sights, totally functional, easy co-witness with any optic. That's because of how deep the optics cut is. Going down to the bottom of the frame, it does use the Glock pattern light mount section. So right now I have the Surefire X300 Ultra on there. This is one that I run on my Glock 34, and it, you know, clicks up just fine, butts up to the trigger card perfectly as it does on a Glock because they use the same mounting pattern. That's good. Again, like I said, I'm not hating on Glock. They have some good stuff, and it's good that, you know, it's almost universal in that way. A lot of the lights that are out there come with a Glock key, so it'd be very simple to find one for this as well, or to be able to switch them back and forth like I have. This particular one has the QVO, I think it's called the Thumb Cliff for the X300, little gas pedal there, super cool. I'll do a review on that later, but awesome product. And then I also have the Emissary Development little switches on here. These things kind of clash a little bit. I just stuck it on here for today. Separately, these are both great products. Together, they're kind of rough, but we'll go over that later anyway. Going back down to the trigger of the pistol, you do have a really, really nice trigger guard. It's straight here, has a little bit of a dip and a high undercut. Again, another thing that CZ thought of that Glock, they know. We know that they know that that's there and it's a problem. People get Glock knuckle all the time, and people end up spending $100 to go to a stipple guy to get it shaved down and molded and re-stippled. And Glock could easily just take care of that from factory. They could just go and change that for Gen 6, and maybe they will, who knows. But my guess is they won't because they just want to keep it how it is. This is it's a super high undercut. So your hand, I mean, look at that. My hand is right up in line with that pistol. Extremely, just a streamline, perfect fit every time. On presentation, when I present this gun to shoot, every time the dot is exactly where I need it to be. That grip angle is so perfect. It's natural. It's a natural point of aim. You just point it out. Center every single time. I don't even have to look for the iron sights. Sometimes with Glocks, after I train with it for a while, it becomes natural. But if I go back to a Glock from something like an M&P, I'll go out, push out, and then I'm up in the sky. You know, and obviously it's not that dramatic, but it's a decent amount where the nose is pointed up. You kind of have to bring it down, and again, that's because of that back strap and the grip angle of the Glock in general. I don't know, man. At the end of the day, it's a plastic black striker-fired handgun. It's got all the stuff that a Glock has. In my opinion, it rivals the Glock in reliability. There are a lot of studies and different tests that have been conducted on the P-10C where it's gone 20, 30, 40, 50,000 rounds. Tens of thousands of rounds, and it had no failures, no issues. I haven't cleaned it once since I've shot it. I've put about 500 rounds through it, no problems whatsoever. The magazines, I will say, magazines are made of metal. They are well coated. They're awesome. Metal magazines are so good, and in this pistol, even with the weight, it shoots them out. That magazine release spits out the magazines very well versus the Glock, because they're stuck with these polymer magazines for whatever reason. Polymer on polymer sticks and it doesn't come out as easy. Sometimes you have to strip the mag out. It won't fall free. If it's cold outside, the plastic, everything kind of shrinks around it. not saying it's the end of the world, but again, it's just a small thing that they could change that they won't, because they won't change the fact that they have a plastic magazine release that gets chewed up by metal mags. You know, so that's why companies like Shield Arms has to come out with a magazine that has more capacity and made of metal. You know, when everybody else, nearly everybody else, except for, I mean, P-Mag, they don't make guns, but they make mags, makes a metal magazine for their gun. And Glock is like, we'll just keep it how it is. Even though maybe there are some pros that I'm not aware of, but there are some pretty serious cons that people have brought to attention of, you know, the zeitgeist. And Glock is just, we won't, you know, we're good. We'll leave it how it is. You know, it's their right, but just saying, a little wonky. By the way, P365 XL magazines work just fine in the P10. Locks in and everything. The only thing it doesn't do is it won't lock back on last round, but these function perfectly. I only have 2 magazines for the P10, and I just happened to be shooting my X Macro, my EDC, and I was like, I wonder if this works. I remember seeing that video of Mojo holding the 320 magazine in the Glock and shooting it.
You have a lot of steel here. This is so much fun, dude.
I know. You get carried away.
Oh, shoot. I'm out of bullets.
That's not gonna work. The Sig Mag.
It'll work. Promise. Watch. You're welcome.
Okay, cut. What?
And I just thought it'd be fun, and sure enough, they do. So if you're looking for mags last minute, I mean, these work to an extent. But anyway, let's go ahead and do a trigger. We'll kind of ghost the trigger, and then I'll kind of go over some shooting characteristics and footage of the gun, and we'll just, you know, kind of call it a day from there. But anyway, let's go ghost that trigger. Okay, so now I'm behind the camera. I'm aimed in a safe direction, obviously, just so you know, but we're gonna go and stick a magazine in, chamber the round. All right, so here is the initial trigger pulls. This trigger is, I would compare this trigger very similar to, it's not quite a Walther or a Canic, but it is very comparable to the M&P 2.0, the new trigger with the kind of skeletonized look to it, just with a little bit more of a smaller, kind of thinner shoe. So you have that first amount of take up here, very typical of a striker fired system. There's that take up. You hit a hard wall, very hard wall. When you first get the pistol, it is heavy. It takes some time for it to break in, but after you break it in, hit that first hard wall, consistent pressure, 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 no creep, just a clean break. Gun goes off, and then you have a short, very tactile, it pushes your finger back into battery, reset. So again, take up, very smooth, very light. Take up's not really a problem. You should be shooting from the wall anyway. So take up, get rid of that. We're at a very hard wall, consistent pressure, no creep. Nice break, reset. So that's the trigger. That's just, and again, this is the factory trigger, guys. Factory trigger, CZP-10C. This is what you get versus the garbage trigger you get with the Glock that almost 90% of people either polish the OEM trigger, they pay for the upgraded Glock performance trigger, or they pay for something like an Apex tactical trigger, which you can do that with anything. And I don't necessarily disagree with modifying a trigger. I think you have all the right in the world to modify your gun however you want to. But this, again, we're arguing that this brings more value to the table for less money than a Glock. Stock to stock, factory to factory. This gun, in my opinion, brings more to the table than a Glock does. All right, so let's do a little bit of shooting real quick. I don't have a camera person, so unfortunately you kind of have a weird angle. But we have a steel target here. I don't know what that is. It's probably 10, 15 yards. Paper target, probably about maybe 7, and then another one back there is maybe 15, 20. I'm just going to kind of do a little bit of shooting and walk you through how it feels to shoot the gun. Looking at my watch here, I have a little viewfinder, make sure I'm in frame. This gun, it happens to fit. This is the Safariland holster for a Glock 34. It works. It's kind of wonky to get in there. You got to push it in a weird way, and it kind of, you know, it kind of feels weird. I mean, it locks in, it works, and it comes out and everything. It's just, it's a little different. So, but aside from the Safariland stuff, I know that the mass majority of Glock 19 holsters, I think Gen 3 to 5, do fit the CZ P-10C. Some don't, some do. It's kind of a weird mix. You have to look it up, but kind of cool that the magazine or the holsters are compatible between the two, just like Canik can kind of use some as well. So kind of a neat thing. But let's go ahead and shoot. So upon first draw, when you grab the pistol, you got a massive amount of lock in. Your finger locks into the grip of the pistol. Very high on the tang, extremely good. I mean, I feel in control of the gun. When you put your hand on the left side, fill in that grip area. You have a nice textured area on the side of the gun to remind yourself where to put your thumb. You push out, of course, because the grip angle, the red dot is right there. Nice, great trigger, hard break. That's a dead-on shot. And very little recoil. We're out. Let's go ahead and reload. Metal magazines fall out nice and clean. Back out. I don't know if y'all can see that, but I mean, I'm stacking like a little fist-sized group with rapid fire on a gun that I've put maybe 500 rounds on. You know what I mean? There's something to this. I'm telling you, there is something to this gun. Right now we're empty. We can put our X Macro magazine in there. We'll rack it. Let's do some transitions here. Very balanced. I mean, head box. Those are all 3 hits. I don't know what else you could say. And of course, there are people that can do this with a Glock as well. But again, value for money, 330 bucks. I haven't done anything to it except for basically put a red dot on it and a flashlight. And I'm able to sit here and, I mean, easily, consistently, repeatedly, ring steel at, 15 yards. I mean, I don't know, man. There is just, in my opinion, unless you just have to have a Glock because you're one of those folks that just needs to have a Glock, there are so many pistols out there that I think are more bang for your buck than a Glock 19, Glock 17, Glock 45, things such as those. But anyways, guys, I'm gonna go get some B-roll of this thing. Let me know if you have any questions about it. They're kind of a weird pistol in the way that they are well known, but they're not brought up in the conversation very often. It's kind of weird, but these pistols are readily available as of now. They are canceled, so they're probably, maybe they'll get more expensive, maybe they'll get cheaper, who knows. But as of right now, they're easy to find. They're affordable, incredible pistols, a great option that I think everybody should at least consider and go put their hands on before they buy, spend up to $500 on a pistol. That's a lot of money for anybody. And I think you'd be doing yourself a disservice if you didn't check one of these out first. If you have any questions about anything that's on this pistol, let me know in the comments. If you guys want to come out here and shoot, I do need somebody to film these videos. So if you want to come out here and, just hold a camera for me while I talk about stupid autistic stuff, I'll pay your range fee. Come out here and we'll have a blast. Email me at odnomad.business@gmail.com and see if we can link up and work something out. I'm also looking for guns to review. If y'all have a pistol that you think is better than a CZ or better than a Glock, if you have a Glock that you think is better than this, whatever, let me know if we can link up. Either I can, I'll just borrow it, or you can come with me and shoot with me and we'll do a little quick comparison. The unfortunate thing about being a gun tuber and making gun videos is that it's extremely expensive. And so access to different firearms and things to make content on is super valuable. So if you have anything that you'd be willing to let me review, let me know. Again, odnomad.business@gmail.com, and we'll kind of rock and roll. But anyway, thank you guys for coming to the OD Nomad channel. I appreciate it. Hopefully I didn't torque too many of your shorts or rustle too many jimmies. If I did, I'm sorry, I don't really care. No, I'm just kidding. You know what I mean. Anyway, guys, we'll see you in the next one. Peace.